Which Star Wars star is the real-life grandson of an actual real-life Nazi?
What does it take to kill Chewbacca?
What makes General Grievous a very good capitalist?
And why is Obi-Wan Kenobi an even better capitalist?
Oh, Kenny, that reminds me. You owe me one Kenobi.
Hey.
Hello and welcome back to Everything You Didn't Need to Know About. Today we are talking everything you didn't need to know about Star Wars! As always, whoever gives us the best fact of the day, they will win the prize. It could be Nathan Kenny, it could be Jen Jewell, it could be Tom Adams, it could be me, Sam Smith, and that prize is... Vroom, 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 vroom. It's my
really
lightsaber. Cool. By mine, I mean my 6-year-old son's lightsaber. But I bought it from Star Wars Land in Disneyland, so it's a good prize.
Do you have to make the noises yourself, or do they just...
No, it's got a button. It's just I've heard it so much, it actually makes me want to kill myself if I hear it again. So I'm not going to put it on. I hope that's okay.
It's really handy because you've got a lightsaber just
if I wanted to.
Apparently that was an issue in the latest films that they did, because Ewan McGregor made the zero noise every time he was actually fighting, and they had to like cut around it because you can see his mouth going.
Oh, it's so good.
It's the same issue they had with Laura Dern in The Last Jedi. Every time she fired the blaster, she goes, pew.
Like, does your lightsaber have a little like warning sticker on it that says "Do not insert into people or animals"? Because my friend had a lightsaber that had that sticker on it, and it always made me laugh intensely.
No, it doesn't. But
meow.
Don't deep throat it.
Okay. Don't do it, Sam.
No. Let's do this. Your best impression of something from Star Wars.
I was going to do that.
Solo.
Wildly missing off the screen.
Yep. Do or do not. There is no try. That's I can't. Fuck it.
I'm fairly certain this is one of the extras in the bar scene. Low effort.
Have you guys seen Star Wars?
Yeah.
I've seen several. I've read the books.
Okay, nerd.
Gather up, team, because I'm about to tell you about the Star Wars cinematic universe, and there's the extended universe. And the extended universe is bonkers. It's incredible. It's like Luke Skywalker, like summoning black holes. There's like devil woman in a black hole. There's this incredibly massive story, and it goes all the way to like Han Solo and Leia's kids, one of them becoming like the world's greatest villain and the other one becoming the world's greatest hero. It's amazing. And in it, there's a whole series of a group of creatures called the Yuuzhan Vong, which are like anti-Force, anti-Jedi. You can't do anything with the Force.
Did you just say the Usain Bolt?
Yeah, that's what I had too.
Yeah, they run really fast and had a brief stint at soccer that didn't go so well.
He's playing football now over in Australia, right? He signed up for one of the A-League teams.
That's right. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
probably.
In the extended universe, he kills Chewbacca.
Usain Bolt. What?
How absolute dare!
Well, the Yuuzhan Vong. So it's this whole like extra thing of these creatures who come from outside of the galaxy who are like the anti-Jedi. They can't be affected by the Force. It's very, they like grow. It's real weird. They're like sadomasochist biologists. It's really messed up. Like they wear suits of armor that are made of living crabs that hurt them, and they're like, yes, queen. And it's a book called Vector Prime, and they what happens is they take over they basically get fought off of it and decide to take their revenge by crashing the moon into the planet.
Yeah, it's good. Good move.
Han Solo's kids are there, and so they're all getting them onto the ships to get them to escape. And at the last minute, Chewbacca grabs their youngest son called Anakin and throws him onto the ship, and then tells them to leave. And they go, and the last thing they see is Chewbacca as a moon obliterates him.
Wow.
So that's what it takes to kill Chewbacca.
So many times on this channel, Tom's just like, hey, I've read a book. And we're all like, whoa, there's a book? Cool.
How do you write the noise that Chewbacca makes. I imagine it's lots of G's, N's, and R's, just kind of like grr, grr, grr. Yeah.
He just said ginger overall.
I did that in a deliberate order, Sam.
Yeah. Speaking of Chewbacca, did you know that he was based on George Lucas's dog, who used to drive when George Lucas was driving this car around? He'd sit in the car next to him, so that what inspired him for the relationship between Han Solo and Chewie. But his dog was also the inspiration for another famous character. His dog was called Indiana, who became Indiana Jones. So the same dog was the inspiration for both Chewie and Indiana Jones. Crazy.
I do know what you meant when you said that his dog was beside him in the car, but the way you phrased it, I imagined his dog driving another car beside George Lucas, which would also be amazing.
It was a small car, but on a lead.
The dog was shooting the guns. Don't you guys watch Star Wars?
Oh, obviously.
Don't get cocky, kid.
Do you think that Chewbacca can eat chocolate? Or is he like a dog? Like you give him just a little square and his kidneys
I think he's close
implode?
to a bear. Phylogenetically, as a zoologist, and Kenny, you back me up here. I'm pretty sure Chewbacca is bipedal, an obligate bipedal. He's probably a bear of some kind.
Does that mean that the reason that we didn't see any more Wookiee Christmas specials after the famous 1970s one that they tried to erase from existence is because everyone would have just turned it into a fat bear contest and just spent all their time betting on who was going to be the fattest bear after Christmas dinner?
Have you guys seen that?
I've seen some clips of it. It looks wackadoodle.
I've seen the whole thing. Like I was of the mind like, this is great. I'm going to watch this. Then I can tell people that I've watched it. It's going to be great. But it's legitimately very, very bad. It's on YouTube. You can watch it.
Did you give up watching it ironically and just watch it with a pure, unfiltered sense of childlike wonder instead?
No, whatever the opposite of that is, of absolute disgust and how could you do this to this franchise?
You know that George Lucas he actually didn't expect to get a second or third movie. He wrote the first one and had like a low budget sequel prepared, which was going to be like Luke and Leia, I think, playing around in the
probably
swamp,
banging, right?
Hopefully.
Didn't he make Star Wars as a bit of a spite project because he wasn't able to make Flash Gordon? So he was like, screw you, I'll do a space opera instead.
Oh, that's cool.
Screw you, I'll rip off the samurai instead.
Well, he just used the hero's journey, right? It's just the classic story. It's legitimately like beat for beat that. And surprisingly enough, the story works really well and the characters have motivation and they're cool and interesting enough that it really caught on and everyone really liked it.
But yeah, Luke and Leia were apparently totally supposed to be a thing. And then they kind of got to the third film and were like, oh, let's just all agree to pretend that never happened.
Who among us has not kissed our brother or sister directly on the lips? Real passionately.
I'm going to go with at least two of you. Poor Thomas.
That's my older brother.
If Chewbacca is a bear, what are Wookiees?
Quick fact, they don't say the name Ewok in
Ewoks.
Return of the Jedi. Chewbacca is a Wookiee. You're right.
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking of Ewoks. What are Ewoks?
Ewoks are like fat squirrels without tails.
I think they're little raccoon people.
Aren't they just reverse Wookiees?
That is literally why they call that thing. Yeah.
But they're actually speaking Nepalese and Tibetan, right? The
what?
Wookiees? The Ewoks, I keep on saying Wookiees. So the Ewoks are speaking, they're like the militant wing of the, whatever the
Sherpa
Dalai Lama
Brigade.
is. Yeah.
Amazing.
Buddhists.
I'm imagining the Dalai Lama with like ninja Death Stars.
Does that mean that like in Die Hard, they have to dub the movie when they show it in Nepal? Because otherwise the Ewoks are just running around going, oh, hey, Dave, how's it going? What time's lunch? I don't know. I hope we have macaroni again.
Speaking of cute things from the movies, did you know that in the recent, more recent movies, when they're on that island where Luke's been living for all that time, they have the Porgs? They were only included last minute because there were a whole bunch of Puffins on the island that were just everywhere. And so they just used them to kind of cover them up.
They weren't thinking merchandise at that point.
Surprisingly, they weren't. And then they were like, I guess we could make $1 billion from these.
I like to imagine that the first draft of the visual effects edit of that was just loads of like suspiciously green, perfectly lumpy bushes, like Simpsons bushes. And then they were like, oh, this doesn't quite work. What if they were tiny merchandisable characters?
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah.
We've really left out some tiny merchandisable characters out of this one.
The hardest part with the Porg Puffin thing was getting all the Puffins and sticking the ping pong balls on them so that they could do the mocap.
I'm just happy that Andy Serkis is still getting work.
That he had to disguise himself as a puffin to do it, though.
The hardest part about Porgs is getting them to land right on the edge so they flip over, right?
What a current and up-to-date reference.
Oh,
Kenny. Well done.
okay. That's
Yeah.
great.
Porgs, they're back.
Kenny revealing his investment secrets to us once
Yeah.
again.
But the force works. So when I'm at home every so often at Christmas times and things, I sit at the opposite end of the table to my sister, and if I point at something and do this enough, my sister eventually gets pissed off and passes me what it is. And so I go, well, look, the force works.
You know what else works, Kenny, is using your words to say, please pass me the salt.
No, it's so much more,
Darth Vader, voiced by James Earl Jones, but the actor who played it is a guy called David Prowse, who's a British guy, and he's got a very nice Welsh country accent, and there are also videos of that on YouTube that you can watch. But he's now been banned from going to any Star Wars or Lucasfilm events by George Lucas because he's apparently burnt too many bridges. Because when in the movies, when they revealed Darth Vader's actual face in Return of the Jedi, he was like, well, that should be me, right? I'm the guy who plays him. But instead they used a guy who actually looks the part and won't be like, oity toy, I'm from the Welsh country, I'm a Darth Vader.
I don't know what racism that was that Sam managed to
The Welsh country I'm very interested in, which
I
appears
said
to
West
be...
Country.
You definitely said the Welsh country.
But he,
We're gonna really upset all of our white
I do
Welsh
like my leeks, my lover.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear Darth Vader say.
Oh, yeah.
people. No, Luke,
Luke, I am your father. I find your lack of faith disturbing.
What I love about that is that the actor who they got to play the top of Darth Vader's head is called Sebastian Shaw, and that confused the heck out of me because isn't that the Winter Soldier?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he is looking good for his age if he was able to play Darth Vader as an adult in the 70s.
Well, speaking about the bad characters in Star Wars, one of the actors from the film, in real life, his grandfather was like an actual Nazi.
Not like a space Nazi.
Not a space Nazi, a real life, proper, killed a bunch of Jews Nazi. And it was Peter Serafinowicz who played Darth Maul. He was the voice of Darth Maul. Beloved comic actor Peter Serafinowicz. His grandfather was the first person and maybe only person to be tried in England for Nazi war crimes. Peter Serafinowicz tried to sort of stop that information from being released to the public because he adamantly denies it. He says that it's a complete botch up, that his grandfather was a policeman and something else and was just involved with normal work in Belarus, I think. And someone then implied that there was. He says it absolutely didn't happen. So I want to be very clear about this. I don't think Peter Serafinowicz's grandfather was a Nazi, but that's a bit less of a good teaser to use for our podcast.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, amazing, eh?
But there is that kind of administrative side of Nazism where it's like, you might not have been a, jackboot wearing SS soldier, but if you were kind of anywhere in the bureaucracy of countries occupied by Germany, would you have been called a Nazi?
Imagine if you just emptied the bins, or like you were the tea lady, like you did.
Yeah. She was the Nazi tea lady. And you're like, yes, but all I did was serve tea and cakes.
I just washed the showers.
Oh.
Speaking of, because there's a big parallel there between the in Star Wars, because it's like everyone's happy-go-lucky, the first three, and then suddenly it's like, but now we are Nazis, and everyone's kind of somewhat okay with it. Everyone's just like, I guess we're Nazis now.
To be fair, it was a long, long time ago, so they didn't know what Nazis were back then.
There is that really tragic cartoon of the stormtrooper with his head in his hand saying, I had friends on that Death Star.
If there's a Star Wars Christmas special and they don't know what Nazis are yet, we can very clearly delineate when this long, long time ago is, right?
Yeah.
Because it must be
after the death
after
of Jesus,
Zebus.
presumably.
Yeah. But before 1939. So
And it's got to be
Come on.
it's got to be after Harrison Ford was born because he was in it.
Good point.
point.
That's a real point.
Christmas, Harrison Ford started Star Wars as a carpenter.
Oh yes.
Oh,
You've just
wow.
blown this thing wide open, Tom.
Guys, I need to get to
Harrison
Red
Ford
Spring.
is Jesus. And that's where they got the Holy Grail in Indiana Jones.
Yes.
So-
Amazing.
Do you think he ever spent any time in that the scene in the tunnel with all the masonry shoring up, just going, "This work is shoddy. I would have reinforced it with a different brace."
I'm interesting that you bring up the Holy Grail, Kenny, because that to me reminds me of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, of course. Did you know that when they were filming Star Wars, Carrie Fisher lived in Eric Idle's house? So he had a house in London, and they had gone off to film Life of Brian, a film based on the life of Harrison Ford. But they, so Carrie Fisher was living at his house, and she used to throw these parties. And one night she threw a party with all the members of the Rolling Stones, the members of Monty Python when they came back from from filming Life of Brian. She was there. Harrison Ford came over as well. They partied all night, and then the very next day, they without sleeping, they filmed that scene when they first meet Lando in Empire. So in it, you can see that they look like they haven't slept. They're quite giggly, and they probably had a lot of cocaine.
Space cocaine, force cocaine.
Force cocaine, but also like Rolling Stones cocaine, and also Monty Python cocaine.
Oh, can you imagine Monty Python cocaine? It would be so insane.
It'll be very silly.
I just want a film about that night, about the Rolling Stones partying with Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford and Monty Python. That
would be
sounds
amazing.
like the best thing ever.
Yeah, they should have made that instead of the Christmas special. In fact, that was probably the night they decided to make the Christmas special.
So hang on, here's a question. What's everyone's favorite Star Wars? I'm not going to say film because there's lots of different things, but favorite Star Wars piece of fiction?
I reckon it's probably A New Hope. I reckon the OG.
I think it's the
I
Eddie
quite like
Izzard
them.
Star Wars Canteen stand-up routine.
I like it when they're introduced to the name of the bounty hunter, Boba Fett, for the first time, and the kid opens the door and goes, "Oh, Dad, there's someone here to see you."
And everyone in New Zealand is like, hey,
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
So his dad is Timothy Morrison plays Django Fett.
That's right.
But
So-
I found out that Timothy Morrison's middle name is Derek. Like such a man who's filled with mana in New Zealand. He's so powerful. He's this bad. His middle name is Derek. Ugh, yuck.
Derek Morrison is an accountant. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, that's just a fact.
But what I really love is I watched the Clone Wars series they made. It's actually very good, but you can imagine it must be kind of an interesting creative challenge to have a lot of your characters be the same guy.
Yeah.
But what they've done there to try and make it so it's not just Timothy Morrison doing all those voices, is to not use Timothy Morrison at all, or even a New Zealander, and have them all very clearly Australian. Like, g'day, Mr. Skywalker. Oh, look, that's an old choosy doozy busy.
If they'd made a crossover with Monty Python, say g'day to Bruce, Bruce. And all the stormtroopers were called Bruce, that would just be.
They probably were.
Who's your favorite Star Wars character?
I mean, it's got to be Jar Jar Binks, right?
Legitimately, when I first saw Phantom Menace, I walked out being like, "Love Jar Jar." He's like Goofy he's like Goofy, which is what he's playing.
You were 6 years old, and you
Kenny,
loved
it came
Jar
out in
Jar.
1999. I was 14. I was like,
It's
"That's my guy."
only you
I'm
who
putting.
time travels to see their favorite films.
I'm coming out of Star Wars being like, "That's my guy." I'm going to put all my eggs behind Jar Jar Binks. He is great.
He's
I love
going
him.
places.
And then
He is
everyone was
going
like,
places.
"Oh, he kind of ruined it, didn't he?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then it came out, "Oh yeah, he's kind of racist." I'm like, "Oh God, oh no, what have I done? I put all my eggs behind him."
Why did you have all those eggs? You stole them from the Porgs, didn't you?
Yeah.
My favorite character is young Yoda, but not old Yoda. Old Yoda sucked. Young Yoda, pretty cool.
Are you talking Baby Yoda, or are you talking?
No. Really old Yoda, who was just a pain in the ass. And then there was like 50 years, no, not even that, 30 years earlier Yoda, who was like, with all of, the lightsabers and all that kind of spins and kicks and things.
Yeah.
Really cool. And then suddenly he went, I'm just going to be a pain in the ass old guy.
He did kind of morph into crotchety old man Yoda, very kind of get off my lawn vibes.
Really quickly, what's really funny is the distance between the Revenge of the Sith episode and A New Hope. It's like 16 years, and Ewan McGregor ages so fast. If you think about it,
Yeah.
he goes from Ewan McGregor to
Very old Sir Alec Guinness.
very old Sir Alec Guinness, who hates the movies.
Yeah.
Actually, I could ask for his autograph, and he said, "I will sign this if you do not watch another Star Wars."
You did that
Did
voice
he do
pretty
the
well.
force hand thing?
Yeah,
'Cause that's
do
really
not
cool.
watch another Star.
His name is
I
an
will.
anagram of genuine class.
So
Ah.
Alec Guinness was the smartest of all the actors. So instead of saying, I haven't eaten for 3 weeks, can I please have $5 in a packet of chips? He said, I want a percentage of what the film earns. Thank you very much. He got 2.25% of the gross. And
That's a
so,
lot.
yeah. No, sorry, the gross profits, not the gross.
Oh.
It would be a lot. And so, unlike lots of the actors who ended up a little bit annoyed about how they were not paid very much, he did all right.
Oh man.
And no loyalty to the actors either, because when Mark Hamill had his awful crash, car crash after the first film, and was quite badly, like facially disfigured, he was told that if he hadn't healed properly, he would have just been cut.
Yeah.
They're like, thanks for starring in our film. If you weren't pretty anymore, we would have just. So yeah.
Maybe they're saying
Plastic surgery.
we'll operate on you. We'll give you plastic surgery. You'll heal up, or we'll cut you into the right.
Oh, I see. No, they meant from the film.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard about the difference in pay that Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey got in Dumb and Dumber?
No.
No.
So Jeff
No.
Daniels, Jim Carrey got paid, and they filmed it before Jim Carrey got big. He had 3 massive movies come out in 1994, I think it was. And so Jim Carrey was like, I want more money. I need like, I'm thinking.
I want my packet of chips.
I want so many. I think he got paid like millions of dollars, and I think Jeff Daniel got like $40,000.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Because I still always think of Jeff Daniels as being like a romantic comedy lead. So it was it did feel like a weird vehicle for him.
Yeah.
George Lucas, though, was very smart, though, because he took a $150,000 salary for filming A New Hope in exchange for all of the merchandising rights and the rights to all of the sequels.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you put the Ewoks and Porgs in there.
Yeah.
Not just to hide the Porgs
Yeah.
and small angry raccoons, but, to get the monies.
So Jen, did General Grievous negotiate a percentage of the total gross or something like that? Is that what made
He
him?
did, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
he licensed the slave trading from all of the slave planets. No, this is just a terrible pun.
We can't call China that.
No, I found out that the name of his ship is the Invisible Hand, and I thought that was funny because
Ah.
capitalists always talk about the invisible hand of the market. So obviously he trusts the Invisible Hand because it's his flagship.
Wow. I come up with some pretty far-fetched
long
facts
ago.
on the show, Jen, and holy crap, that's a
Well,
new high.
The other
A new
fact
high.
The other fact that I thought was really cute was, so Grogu, who is the child in The Mandalorian, spoilers, sorry, in Star Wars, they use a dating system which resembles our BCE and CE, but is before the Battle of, I think it's Yavin or
Sorry, when you
Yavin?
said dating system, I thought you were talking about Tinder. Sorry, continue.
Swipe right.
Hold on, swipe left. So they use a dating system before and after the Battle of Yavin or Yavin. And so Grogu, who is 50 years old when we meet him, so although still an infant, quite an old infant, he was born 4-1 BBY. So he's 4-1 baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
I thought it
lovely.
was cute.
Guys, hey, we're going to have to wrap up. We're going to have to go back through our facts and just remind everyone what our facts were. My fact was that Peter Serafinowicz' granddad was not a Nazi.
My fact was that they, in the extended universe of Star Wars, they killed Chewbacca by hitting him with a moon.
My fact was that General Grievous had a flagship that was the same name as a terrible pun about capitalism.
And my fact that was that Alec Guinness was the smartest of all the actors and negotiated a percentage of the film's profits for his pay.
Fantastic. All right. So on the count of 3, we want to point at the person you thought had the best fact. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3. Oh my gosh, it's a four-way tie.
Draw.
It's a four-way tie, guys. We did it. Hey, I'll cut this into quarters and send it all to you.
Well, may the force be with you. Thank you for coming along, listening to us prattle on about Star Wars. And if you have any favourite facts to add about this wonderful franchise, please comment below, like us, share us, tell all your friends, and join us next week where we'll talk about...
All right. Peace out, y'all.
May the force be with you.